They hugged each other as tears flowed freely from their eyes, their hearts relieved of the pain they felt, weaving together their individual thoughts. After a while, they pulled away and stared into each other's eyes, unsure of what to say. Until then, they had only exchanged but a few words. The silence suddenly turned awkward as their gazes lingered. Emeka's eyes couldn't stay focused on her face. He was captivated by her lips. His eyes fixated on her plump pink lips, and the urge to kiss them was driving him crazy. Amara bowed her head as she suddenly felt shy, but Emeka wasn't having any of it. He placed his hand under her chin and gently raised her head so he could look at his angel. Drawing her closer, he kissed her slowly. They were lost in the moment when Amara suddenly pushed him away, bowed her head and said, "We do not want to anger the goddess any further. We should go home. Father would be so happy to see." "I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself," Emeka said with a chuckle. They walked home in peaceful silence. On their way home, some villagers who saw them ran, thinking Emeka's ghost had come back to haunt the village. But they were shocked to see Amara walking beside him. Could it be she killed herself to be with him? They whispered among themselves. When they entered their compound, Emeka's father was stunned. He couldn't believe his eyes. He ran into his son's arms, crying tears of joy. His heart was racing. "I can't wait to hear how this happened," he said in a cheerful voice. "Don't worry, Papa. The gods have shown us mercy," Amara replied happily. "We must celebrate," he shouted, calling for the maids to prepare a feast. His son had returned. A variety of delicious foods were cooked, and the villagers were invited. Many rejoiced over Emeka's survival, while a few felt conflicted. Some believed the goddess was too lenient, thinking he deserved harsher punishment, nothing less than death, for his transgressions. When Adora heard of Emeka's return, she was overjoyed. She ran as fast as her feet could carry to Emeka's compound. Looking around, she spotted him sitting with his new wife, Amara, perched comfortably on his lap, with a radiant smile lighting up her face. Emeka gazed at her as though she were the most precious thing in the world. Adora was not pleased with this new development and resolved to reclaim her place beside him. Walking towards them with a smile, she said, "My love, I was so happy when I heard about your return." As soon as she spoke, Amara's smile faded. Emeka realized he needed to address the situation before it escalated. "Obim, please stay here. I will be back shortly," he said, and Amara nodded. He walked ahead and Adora followed behind. "Adora, I am sorry, but we have to end this. Whatever we had between us, it has to stop," he said. "I'm sure you don't know what you are saying," she replied. "I do know, and I'm telling you we cannot continue this. I have a wife now, and I want to do right by her. She saved me, even when she didn't know me. She prayed for me and interceded on my behalf," he said calmly. "No, Emeka, you don't love her. It's me you love. I heard you call her Obim, a name you have never called me. I choose not to react to it before, but now I won't stand for it. Leave her and be with me," she said, moving closer to him. "You know how sweet I am. I am sweeter than any maiden you have ever been with before. Which is why you keep coming back to me," she added, caressing his chest. Emeka gently held her hands and said, "Let's not go there, Adora. Not everyone gets a second chance at life, and this is mine. I want to make amends." "Then let me help you. I will be with you all the way," she pleaded. "No, Adora. It's not you I need. The woman I need is waiting for me. You are welcome to stay and celebrate my return. But if you don't want that, that's fine. I won't hold it against you," he said as he walked away. Emeka has never rejected my advances before. What has that witch done to him? She muttered under her breath before storming off in anger. Emeka returned to Amara, who gave him a subtle smile. I promise we will talk about this later when we are alone, he said as she nodded again. The party was in full swing and everyone ate and drank to their heart's content. Soon, night fell and the guests dispersed. In the privacy of their room, Emeka sat on the bed with Amara's head resting on his chest. You see, I used to be a playboy. That explains the young woman who visited earlier. I was lost in misery, but I promise this will never happen again, he said with a deep voice. I'm glad you have realized this on your own. This is exactly what I pray to the goddess for. I will be here to support you on this journey of self-discovery, she replied with a smile. Thank you, Amara. Thank you for not giving up on me, he said, smiling. I will never give up on you because I want this to work. I want us to work, she responded. Likewise, Obim, he said as they cuddled on the bed. She turned to look at him and his gaze traced her features. I want to kiss you, he said before claiming her lips in a passionate kiss. Amara melted into his embrace, following his lead. After a few moments, he pulled away. I would like us to stick with our first conversation. I want us to truly know each other before anything else, he said with a hoarse voice, and Amara nodded shyly. They fell asleep under the moon and stars that seemed to watch over their budding love. The next morning, their peace was disrupted when Obianuju, Emeka's stepmother, returned from her long holiday with her daughter. Her grim expression hinted that she didn't want to return, but was compelled to. What is this I am hearing? She asked nonchalantly. The maid froze, unwilling to speak. I asked a question, she barked louder. One of the maids stepped forward and explained everything. When she finished, Obianuju's face contorted with anger. I wish he had never returned. I would have preferred him dead, she muttered. At this moment, Amara came out of her hut and greeted her. Obianuju shot her an irritated look. Who is this tramp? She asked. She's Amara, Master Emeka's wife, a maid replied. Stay out of my way, she sneered. But another voice interrupted. And you will stay out of hers, Emeka said firmly as he ushered Amara into the hut again. Oh, he had grown wings, but I will clip them soon enough, she said as she walked away. What was that about? Amara asked. Amara, you must stay away from that woman. She's dangerous, Emeka warned urgently. Please promise me you will stay away from her, he insisted. I promise, she said as he hugged her. This cannot be happening. The goddess did something I was unable to do for a long time, but I will do whatever it takes to complete this myself, Obianuju said with a determined voice. She had always wanted Emeka out of the way, but all her plans had always felt like pouring water on a rock. It seemed as though he was protected by some invisible shield. She knew it wouldn't be long before her husband died, and she wanted all the wealth for herself and her daughter. Adora, on her part, was still plotting her perfect revenge. She missed Emeka, his touch, his laughter, and his adventurous spirit. She had never met anyone like him, and she cursed herself for falling for him when it was obvious he felt nothing for her. Several times she had dressed in revealing clothes and visited him, but his reception had been cold and hostile. It frustrated her deeply. She wanted to remove Amara from the picture, but it was proving more difficult than she had thought. Two conniving women plotting against the lovebirds. As time passed, Emeka and Amara's love grew stronger. They did almost everything together. Around that time, Emeka decided to start working on his father's cocoa farm, something he had never done before. This surprised his father, who believed Amara was the reason behind Emeka's transformation. He was glad and felt he had made the best choice of wife for his son. However, a strange lingering feeling of unease had settled within him since Obianuju's return. He had considered divorcing her, but he didn't want to lose his daughter. Still, he kept his fingers crossed, hoping things would improve someday. At home, Amara avoided Obianuju like a plague. Since they did not share the same compound, it was easy for her to stay clear of her. She spent her time knitting different things like sweaters, tablecloths, and other items. One afternoon, as she was knitting a small sweater for the child of one of their mates, her mind wandered to the dream she desperately wanted to make a reality. She smiled as she imagined what her and Emeka's child would look like. She couldn't wait to have children with him. Over the months, she had noticed significant changes in him. He was truly trying to be better, and this gladdened her heart. She prayed that their life would be peaceful and good. One afternoon, a maid informed Amara that someone was waiting outside to see her. When Amara asked who it was, but the maid said it was her friend. Confused because she didn't have any friends, Amara instructed the maid to let the person in. When the visitor revealed herself, Amara was shocked but calmly dismissed the maid. "What are you doing here?" Amara asked. Adora laughed wickedly. "Isn't this obvious? I am here to take my rightful place. I don't know what you have done to wrap Emeka around your tiny little finger, but I'm here to change that," she said. "You have no place here. Leave before Emeka gets back," Amara replied with a calm voice. "Did he tell you how many times we have done it? Did he tell you how he heard me when he pleasured my honey pot? Did he tell you how I screamed his name when he took me from behind?" Adora taunted, trying to provoke Amara, but Amara remained as composed as the calm village waters. "I am going nowhere," Adora said sharply, walking towards the bed to sit, but before she could, Amara stopped her. Adora slapped Amara across the cheek, but Amara responded by slapping her twice. Adora held her cheek in shock. "What? Just wait and see what Emeka will do to you when he sees this," Adora spat. "If you allow him to meet you here, I will not stop him from doing whatever he wants to do," Amara said, breathing hard. "You haven't seen the last of me," Adora hissed as she stormed out of the hut. Amara wanted to cry, but stopped herself. What would she even say she was crying about? Her husband had been the village playboy, known to have slept with almost all the maidens. Anger bubbled within her, and she knew only sleep could calm her down. So she lay down and fell asleep. Meanwhile, Adora, fuming with rage, encountered Obianuju on her way out. Obianuju took her to her hut, offered her a drink of water, and then said, "I know what you want, and I will help you because I see myself in you. I never stop until I get what I want." "Really? You will help me talk to Emeka?" Adora asked. "No," Obianuju replied with a smirk. "I will do something better. Find me a young, handsome man and bring him to me tomorrow afternoon. Don't ask any questions. Just get me a fine young man," she instructed, dismissing Adora. Adora, thrilled to have Obianuju's support, knew exactly who to pick. Ike. He was one of the handsome men in the village, though he was nowhere close to Emeka in appearance. She approached Ike and he agreed to her request for a small fee, which she promised to pay. Back in the hut, Amara woke up to find Emeka had returned from work. She sat up but her mood remained gloomy. "What is it, Obi?" Emeka asked, concerned, but she remained silent. "Amara talked to me," he said, nudging her gently. When she turned to him, he noticed the handprint on her face. He saw red. "Who did this to you?" he demanded. "Your ex-girlfriend was here earlier today," she replied. "I will deal with her," he said, standing to leave, but Amara stopped him. "Trust me, I have already dealt with her," she said. "I still want to confront her," he replied. Amara hugged him tightly. "I am sorry, Emeka, this happened because of me." "No, I should be the one apologizing. This is because of my past. I cannot change that, but I promise to be better in the future," he whispered, and Amara melted into his embrace, breathing in his scent. After dinner and a bath, they lay in bed together. Months had passed since they had done anything beyond kissing. Emeka was sure of his love for Amara, but while he knew she cared for him, he wasn't sure if she was ready to give herself to him. Amara suddenly stood up and excused herself. When she returned, she was wearing only her bra and pants. Emeka's breath caught in his throat, and he swallowed hard. "What are you doing, Amara?" he asked in a hoarse voice. "I want you to make me yours in every way possible." "I love you, Emeka. Please make love to me," she said. Emeka stood almost immediately. "I love you too," he said, capturing her lips in a searing kiss. Slowly, he pushed her towards the bed, trailing kisses down her neck. Before the night was over, they made love, a union that connected their souls. The next day, Amara couldn't stop smiling as she remembered how they had been the night before. She felt so much closer to him now than ever. Meanwhile, Adora and Ike visited Obianoju's hut, where they made a secret agreement. Weeks later, Adora was sleeping in her hut after lunch when she was suddenly woken by a loud thundering sound. "How dare you cheat on me?" Emeka shouted. She immediately became alert. Emeka was throwing punches at a man she didn't recognize, and soon the man ran out of the hut. Emeka's eyes blazed like hot coals. "When I come back here, I do not want to see you," he said as he stormed out of the room. Amara was confused. She didn't understand what was going on. She waited patiently for Emeka to return, and when he did, she tried to touch him, but he pushed her away. He was drunk and angry. "Leave!" he shouted, throwing her out of the house with her belongings. Amara cried while holding on to him, but he shoved her aside. Taking her few possessions, she left the compound in tears. Her father-in-law wasn't home, and Amara didn't know where to go. She would rather stay in the forest or perhaps even kill herself than return to her aunt. As she walked along the path, she, one of the maids who worked at their house, ran after her and offered her a place to stay. They walked a long distance and finally arrived at a small compound with 2 cozy huts. She gave Amara water to bathe and offered her food, but she declined. As Amara lay on the bed, all she could do was cry. "He didn't even give me an opportunity to explain myself. Did he really love me like he said?" she pondered. She cried until she fell asleep, her heart wrenching from his rejection. Emeka, on the other hand, was deep in pain. He had never wanted Amara to leave, but he had to let her go. He punched the wall and smashed the table and chairs in the room as he screamed in anguish. The maid cowered in fear, unsure of what he might do next. In her hut, Obianoju laughed and celebrated with a bottle of beer. The next day, Emeka didn't come out of his hut. That very day, Adora visited. She met Obianoju, who gave her a small packet of white powder. Sprinkle this on his food, Obianuju said. With this, he will love you forever. Naive and desperate, Adora took some food from the maid and sprinkled the powder on it. Smiling triumphantly, she walked into Emeka's room and placed the food on the table. The room was a complete mess. Oh, Emeka, you should stop hurting yourself because of that cheater. She doesn't deserve you. Come and eat, she said as she pulled him up and gave him the food. He ate hungrily and smiled at her. Thank you for taking care of me. Please don't leave me, Adora. It's you I adore. Adora blushed at his words, thrilled that the powder seemed to have been working. But what happened next was unexpected. Emeka suddenly started convulsing and collapsed lifeless. Adora froze, thinking it was a bad dream. She shook him, but he was motionless. Her eyes widened in fear, and beads of sweat formed on her forehead. I have shot myself in the leg, she thought. Obianuju had used her to achieve her own dream. Furious and terrified, Adora ran to Obianuju's hut, shouting and accusing her of using her for her evil plans. At that moment, Emeka walked out of his hut. Guards, he called, captured these two women and locked them up. The women were too scared to resist. Earlier, Emeka's sister had told him about her mother's plan to kill him and revealed that Adora was working with her. She also disclosed that Amara was innocent. Emeka had replaced the poison that Obianuju intended to use on him with harmless salt. The same poison Adora thought was a love charm had backfired. Emeka had figured out that Amara was being set up. He wanted her away from the chaos so he could deal with the culprits himself. To ensure her safety, he had secretly instructed Chi to take Amara to her house. This new Emeka was always a step ahead. He rushed to Chi's house, and when Amara saw him, she was first sad, then immediately angry. She was about to walk away when he grabbed her and begged her to listen. She stood with her back to him while he explained everything. When he got to the part where he mentioned being poisoned, Amara turned to face him, worry evident in her eyes as she assessed his body for any sign of harm. Emeka knew in that moment that he would never love anyone else. He finished his explanation and apologized for how he had treated her. They hugged tightly and she forgave him. When they returned home, they found that Obianuju and Adora had been turned into stone. With the two women gone, the couple's life became peaceful and they now had a solid foundation to build their relationship. The stone figures were placed in the center of the village. Families used them as cautionary tales for their children and future generations, a reminder of the dangers of greed and jealousy. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. See you in the next one. Bye.